Hello my friends. In this lesson, 2 directives will be explained. At the end of this lesson, the directives topic will be completed. At first, I will explain if directive. After that, the ID directive will be explained. There are 2 ways to show or hide an element, and it's using if and ID directives. In the show directive, the element is created and its display is none, so we don't see it. But in the if directive, we can choose to create an element or not. So if you don't want to create an element, use if directive. But you can use the show directive if you just want to show or hide an element. To use if directive, I have a template and below I have a div. You can create just one div here. If you create 2 of divs, an error will occur and your code doesn't work. After creating the div, you can use your codes and so on. Well, here I have if I want to have a condition, and when the condition is provided, the element will be shown. So I come here and define a variable, display : true. Now come behind this, message : hello world. Come back to the div tag, I create a button, show or hide. Then I have it sign click equals display equals not display. When the display is true, the elements will be shown. Now I come here, the text is message. I reload the page and we have the button and the message. By pressing the button, the message will be shown or hidden. When I take inspect, the template will be shown. In the show directive, we can create a transition between showing and hiding the message. But in the if directive, the element will be created and deleted in just one moment. The next one is the ID directive. In Alpine.js, to give ID to elements, we have a magic property named $ID. Magic property helps us to prevent creating repetitive IDs and they are unique. I will talk about magic properties in the next lessons. I want to talk about the ID directive. This directive defines ID for inputs using the $ID magic property. To create a good example, I clear this part and create an input, ID equals $ID, and here I enter the name of my ID, the name is input. After reloading the page, I have an input, and by taking inspect, here the ID is equal to the input 1. Based on the magic property, it put the number of IDs here automatically. And here the ID number is 1. Also, I can have several IDs with their specific number. As I reload the page, you see that each one of them has its ID and number. Well, this is one of the Alpine.js magic properties that can be useful. If you want to define an ID for a group of inputs, you can use the ID directive. For example, I have an input and a label. As you know, each input has an ID and each label is related to an input. The relation between input and label will be provided using ID and for attribute. Because they are a group of items, you should use the ID directive. Now I clear these lines and define a label. I define a text for this label, for example, username. And here I have an input, and each label is related to an input. I should take the ID from here and paste it into this part. Here ID equals username, and also above, it should be username to show the relation between label and input. We're not allowed to use similar IDs on HTML pages. Alpine.js makes it easier, and by using ID directive this problem is solved. I create a div here and put these lines into it. I have also another div, and it may be more. Here, ID equals input text. As I said before, I bind for value with $ID. And I also put this for input. I copy this for the next div. Its name is username, and I do the same steps for this one. I come here and instead of username have input text. Okay, I reload the page. I have two inputs and two labels. Because the labels and inputs are related together, by choosing any label, the input will be selected. Now I get to inspect. You see that I have two groups, and here are their ID, and it defined the number for each of them. For example, input text 1 and here username 1. So this directive will be helpful in complicated projects. Alright, I explained almost all of the directives till now, and the next topic is magic properties for the next lessons. I will explain them in detail. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. See you.